Hey, special educators, I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning. Welcome to the Special Educators Resource Room. If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to save time and streamline your work. That's why this podcast was created, to give you the systems and solutions you need to get your time back. Tune in for tips, tricks, and tools that will help you manage your workload and make the most of your time. Whether you're brand new or experienced, all are welcome in the Special Educators Resource Room. Hey, special educators, it's Jennifer from Positively Learning. This episode is all about data collection, specifically using Google Forms in the data collection process. Are you already using them? And how's it going? And if you're not using Google Forms for data collection, why not? Is there a comfort level, or have you found something else that works? It seems like inside Facebook groups, whenever I see a message like, help me, how do I collect all this data? The majority of the answers are about Google Forms. Use Google Forms, but it doesn't actually explain how they use them to help with the data collection process. So that's what I want to talk about in this episode. We're going to go over the advantages of using Google Forms, step by step on how to get started with examples, and then we're going to be talking about some pros and cons to using Google Forms for data collection. Let's get started. The number one advantage to using Google Forms is they are so easy to customize. You can customize what information you're collecting. You can customize the questions. You can customize the answers. It's super simple. If it's brand new to you, I highly recommend starting with a already done for you form. I have some free ones inside the Special Educators Resource Room Facebook group. If you grab the free form, you can still edit it, but it's already set up. So you can go in and edit the questions and edit the answer choices or keep it as is. I think that is the best shortcut that I can recommend. More advantages to using Google Forms for special education data collection is real-time feedback. Google Forms make it very easy to get instant data analysis, and that can help you make quick decisions. It's also very easy to share the form, so you can share it with the IEP team to collect data across the board. It's also very easy to share the data analysis. So imagine sharing this with families in real time. Google Forms are sounding pretty magical at this point, and there are so many advantages to using Google Forms for special education data collection. They are very accessible. You don't have to be a technology wizard to use them. You can use them on your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet. They're very easy to set up. I actually walk you through the setup steps on a blog post, and I'll put the link in the show notes. It's all about using Google Forms for special education. Or you can use that done for you option. It can still be customized. I have a set of Google Forms, and you can go in and you can change the question types. You can change the question answers. There's so many different ways you can collect data. They also integrate really easily with other Google apps. So if you are using Google Drive, Google Slides, Google Sheets, they can integrate very easily with each other, which makes it super easy to share and collaborate. With all of these pros mentioned, why aren't we all using Google Forms? Well, I want to throw out a few things to consider before diving in. Remember how I just mentioned how accessible Google Forms are? Well, that brings up some privacy concerns. Special education data is highly sensitive, and FERPA is a privacy law in place to protect all of us. While Google offers security features, we still need to be very careful that there's no unauthorized access to the data that we're collecting and sharing. We also want to think about our dependency on Wi-Fi. So Google Forms need internet access, and there's not always the best connectivity in schools. Some schools may have limited tech issues, which brings up equity. So you want to definitely consider that. That was a huge disadvantage to using Google Forms for myself. I was in a school that was kind of a dead zone for Wi-Fi and electricity and all things. All right, the last thing to consider, and this may not impact everyone who is listening, but there is the potential for data overload. When data collection is so easy, it can lead to an overwhelming amount of data, which can be a challenge to both manage and to analyze. And if you're not going to be able to take the time to analyze effectively and take action, you really do not need to be collecting that data. It comes down to a balancing act and deciding what's best for you. For me, I definitely found the balance. I really enjoyed taking data in the moment, which often meant the back of a nurse pad or a sticky note or right on top of a lesson plan or form that was nearby. I also really enjoyed entering all the data so that it made sense. And I liked using Google Forms for that because I appreciated having that data analysis option and to be able to share it out. And now it's up to you to take this information and find the just right balance for yourself. Earlier in the episode, I mentioned some free Google Forms that I popped into the Special Educators Resource Room Facebook group. And I want to tell you a little bit more about those forms. These forms are already included in the large Special Education Resource Room bundle. So if you have access to that, you've already got these. All right, so the first one is an on-task, off-task tracking form. Then there's an IEP goal tracking form, an indirect consultation form. That's a great form to use when you're having a conversation with another team member and you want to document. I feel like I could do a whole episode on indirect consultations. And the last free form inside the Facebook group is a communication log, which you could easily customize to meet any needs, whether it's communication with staff, communication with families, communication with anybody. All right, those are inside the Facebook group. Let me know if you need any help finding them. I will put a link in the show notes to the Facebook group, or you can search Special Educators Resource Room. I also will put a link to the blog post that's all about Google Forms. One thing we did not get to in this episode is how to set up your first Google form or using a pre-made Google form designed for data tracking. That's included in the blog post, so I will be sure to link that there. And I think it would be so amazing if the next time in a Facebook group someone asks, how do I get started with the data collection? And the answers come through Google Forms. You could also share a link to this blog post or a link to this podcast episode and say Google Forms, and here's some things to consider to get started. I would be so appreciative if you would share this with another special educator. Thanks so much for listening, and I will catch you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe buttons so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.